Hello, Scrufftards. Welcome to the War Zone. I'm Scruffy, and this is Scruffy Tales. And in this video, we're gonna take a look at what's going on in Kursk with the Ukrainian incursion, taking a look at the Kursk front line, 5th of October 2024. And we're gonna be using my own map because I've been playing around with scribble maps and making my own map, making approximations, looking at several maps and putting it all together into an approximation of the front lines. As such, my map is not a credible source, it's not a reliable source, and should not be used as such, because there's a fair bit of gut feeling involved when I make my map, looking at the other maps and going, yeah, all of that kind of suggests something along this. So that is why. So then I put down that gut feeling as I make my own map. So that's why my map is not a credible source, but it is based on 6 to 8 mappers who put down a lot of effort making their maps. Anyway, moving on to the front line and my map. But before we do that, I just want to highlight that there are a couple of moments where you will hear a beep beep beep, and that's when my headset shuts down. So I'll turn it on in 8 or 10 seconds. Just if when you hear the beep beep beep, bear with me. It will take 10 seconds, and then the headset works, and I'll continue talking, moving the cursor around on the screen or whatever. Yeah. You'll figure it out. Right, so here we have, well, I've been playing around with making my own map for the Kursk region where you have the Ukrainian incursion. It's not done, as you can see, it's not not really accurate over here. What I'm doing is taking a look at 6 to 8 different mappers. Let's see, who do we have? ISW, Andrew Perpetual, Novel Reports, Deep State. Ukraine control map. I have Mayakovsk 73. I even take a look at pro-Russian Syriac maps and also Scribble Maps' own map for the conflict. And this is Scribble Maps that I'm using. Their free version of the map editor. It's kind of fun. Anyway, so I'm using all those maps and kind of bunch it together to get a approximation for what's going on. Yeah, let's take a look. We're gonna start over here to the west, around the town of Tektino, and take a look what's going on there because it's really interesting. And whoop, here we go. So, yes, Tetkino, and this town is kind of interesting because, well, we have Ukraine pushing in here, south west of it, and we have been told that infantry has moved in. Andrew Perpetua has recently added an arrow in this area indicating a Ukrainian push is ongoing at the moment. Interesting. But what is really interesting are these green sections here that I've added. These are areas where we have seen massive amounts of artillery these past 2 weeks. Very unclear why that is, if it's Ukraine trying to push in, if it's Russia hitting Ukrainian forces, or if Ukraine is simply trying to trick Russia to allocate resources to this area to make it easier fighting over Veseloe. Not sure what's going on. Let's see if I can show you NASA. Yeah, take a look at this. This is on the 2nd of October. Let's start on the 3rd. And down here is Tetkino. And this is the north of Tetkino then. 2nd, 1st of October, and let's see, 30th, right? So a lot of artillery. And if we go back a couple of days, 25th of September, take a look at this, and 24th, 20, where, and here we have more artillery on the 21st, 20th, and let's see, where the hell is it? Oh, 25th, that's it. Take a look. 25th, 26th, a lot of artillery going on. So if I pick the 26th and let's say 7 days, this is 5th of October to 29th of September. All of this is artillery strikes. Let's say 28th all the way back to 22nd of September. I mean, take a look at all of this. Something is going on around this town, and it doesn't show on any map. It doesn't show on any of the mappers. Andrew Petjo has Ukraine pushing in up here, or has it contested? Uh, but we don't know. It's just massive artillery strikes day after day, and none of the mappers are showing anything going on. Could be Ukraine, since we don't see any actual progress on the maps, kind of suggests it is Ukraine shelling Russian positions. But people have pointed out that the amount of artillery being aimed at these regions could indicate it is in fact Russia that is shooting at Ukrainians, which, if that's true, that should indicate that these green fields are contested or occupied by Ukraine. And this is a lot of territory. If we zoom out a bit, here you have the push towards Veseloe in the Glishkovo region. I mean, this, if we add the green areas to territory that is occupied by Ukraine, it is a lot of territory. But it's not showing on anyone's maps. So who knows what's going on over here. These yellow markers are bridges, more than likely blown. So we have a bridge here, right where Ukraine has been shelling, or someone has been shelling rather. Let's see, here you go, that's the one. So there is a potential crossing point where you don't need amphibious vehicles to get across the river. So maybe that's an indication that Ukraine has crossed. Who knows? Interestingly, a couple of the mappers, Deep State included, has this area as contested by Ukraine. It's a large factory right in the middle of Tektino. And, well, there's a bridge here that is more than likely blown up. But take a look at this. Here is something that I don't think you can blow up just as easily as a bridge. So we have a land connection, as it appears, allowing Ukraine to move on foot across the same river into this factory area in the middle of Tetkino. So maybe there's actually something to it that Ukraine has a presence in this factory in the middle of Tetkino. But yeah, that's the situation at Tetkino. Lots of artillery going on. Has been ongoing for a couple of weeks. Rumors that Ukraine is pushing in to the south of Tetkino, and possibly Ukraine is operating in the middle of Tetkino as well. Moving on to Veseloe, where Ukraine pushed in through Novi Put, pushing straight up for the town of Veseloe, where they got stuck on this town. They have since also been pushing out westward to try and take control of these border towns, and also east, in an attempt, would be my guess, to reach Sadovoye Glishkovo, a small town here, not to be confused with the larger town of Glishkovo. So Ukraine has been trying to secure Krasnotabritsky, because holding this town allows Ukraine to bring in reinforcements and supplies from Ukraine into the main fight along the roads and what have you in the area. And so that's why they're fighting down here. Veseloe is a very fluid battlefield, back and forth all the time. Seems almost as if you get new updates every day from where Ukraine and Russia have positions. Essentially, what's going on is Ukraine has pushed into center of town, controlling half of it. They made a push up to the west. We have geolocated Ukrainian positions in this area, a couple of days old by now. Russia may or may not have pushed them out, but my feeling is that Ukraine keeps pushing into this area. They want to stay here, so it is contested. Unclear if Russia is in control or not of this territory here. To the east, Russia has made some pushes and has made some gains in this area here, south of this factory, coming in to put pressure on the Ukrainians holding these fields southeast of town. Recently, we had some updates on the maps, ISW most recently, and a couple of days before that on the deep state map, that Russia had made some gains over here, and Ukraine, as a consequence, that's my crappy headset that shuts down every now and then. So when you hear that beep beep beep, just hang on, I'll be back in a couple of seconds. Anyway, Ukraine had pushed out this far to windbreaks over here. As you can see here, these windbreaks and here. And I believe they were also down in this area grabbing these windbreaks here. So what has happened is that Russia has made a big push over here, reclaiming these windbreaks, and that forced Ukraine to fall back. And as you can see, there's really no cover between this location here and the location over here. So Ukraine, when they lost territory here, they had to fall back 4 kilometers almost across these open fields to find new positions that were defendable. So that is why you see a drastic change on the maps. It's not, I mean, Ukraine had no choice. When they lost these positions, they had to withdraw 4 kilometers to find cover. So that is why we have this big change on the maps. That seems as if the Ukrainian front line almost collapsed in the area. It didn't. They just had to fall back 4 kilometers to find cover because of all these large open fields that no one can control and that no one can defend. So that's what's going on here. And this is crucial, what the Russians pulled off here. Very important, because that forces Ukraine away from Sadovoye Glushkovo, and this town is very important. Let's see if I can show you with this one. Because, as you can see, here we go. This is the road coming down from Korenovo to Snagost. Here you have a bridge. You also have a bridge up here. And the road continues all the way over here to that small town of the Glushkovo. And from here, it goes up to the larger town of Glushkovo. And also, you can see it's a hub where the road goes southwards. So this is where Russia can bring in supplies, resources, manpower, reinforcements, logistics. It goes through this small town up to Glushkovo. From here they can ship things out to the front lines. So had Ukraine remained at this location, they were in striking distance of this small town, and had Ukraine pushed out this far, they would have cut logistics into this entire region, and thereby, weakening Russia's chances of having success in and around Veseloe and later on Glushkovo itself. So very important move by Russia securing this territory over here. So that's what's going on here. Russia is defending this border town because it's important. This is where Ukraine can bring in logistics. It's super crucial for Russia to hold this town. Map saved. There you go. Same thing here. Pushing Ukraine back from these windbreaks here secures Sadovoye Glishkovo and secures Russian logistics leading into this battlefield. And holding on to Veseloe is super crucial for Russia as well, because if Ukraine gains Veseloe, they secure basically all the territory back here, so then they can focus on Krasnotarayevsky, and then they can focus on Sadovoye Glishkovo or pushing on to Sukinovka. So that is why Russia is putting up such a fierce defense at Veseloe, because if Ukraine grabs it, it becomes a fortress that defends maneuvers behind it, south of it, that allows Ukraine to pushing out towards Sadovoye Glishkovo and pushing out and securing the border town here of Krasnotarayevsky. Right, I think that covers that. This is interesting. Not much has happened here in the last couple of weeks. As we know, Russia pushed out to Snagost and then headed straight for Lyubimovka. And not much has happened since then, like I said. We've had some reports of claimed Russian successes in this region here, specifically around Darino. And according to Russian claims, Russia has pushed out all the way over here to this windbreak. Andrew Perpetua has on his map this region here, west of this river, as contested. So this entire region here is contested according to Andrew Perpetua. But most mappers has Russian gains somewhere around this line here. And since most mappers appears to agree that this is where Russia has control and everything else may or may not be contested, I'm leaning towards that this is in fact true. Russia has not pushed on further than this point, and maybe they're making attempts at reaching Darino, but they failed so far. So why is all of this yellow? Well, it's big open farmland. There's nothing here you can defend, control, or hold. So that is why, as you can see, I've outlined where Russia can actually defend territory. And if they want to push on, they have to cross all of these wide open fields that they can't defend or control. So that is why it's listed as uncontrollable, yellow. The big question is then, if the Russian claims are true, that means they must control this square. As you can see here, you have windbreaks forming a square. And if we have no confirmation that Russia is in control of this square, then they can't push on towards Darino. And since this is not confirmed, my guess is that Russia has not pushed on to Darino at all. They have pushed out here in the south towards the river, River Snagost. And there's a reason for that. You have a crossing here. Let's see, there it is. This thing here, whatever that is, that must be a bridge, right? So you have a crossing here close to Nikolaevo Darino, and I'm guessing Russia is trying to come around this way and reaching it, which makes sense, which also puts in question the claims that they have crossed at Darino. You have this land bridge here crossing the river Snagost at Darino. I'm thinking Russia is after this bridge, and they are nowhere near Darino. And also, if this is true, then Ukraine is more than likely in control of this square. That means that all of this area and all this area up here, also where Russia has claimed to make an advance, all of this is blue and in Ukrainian control, including everything here east of the river Snagost and the town of village of Darino. So that's the situation here around Darino. If you ask me, Russia is stuck on these wide open fields, and they may try and move from Ubukovka into this square. But since we don't have any confirmation of that yet, I don't think they've made it that far. Um, if they do, then they stand a good chance of making a push on Darino, but then they need to come across this way here. Is this, I mean, take a look. It says it's a road here, but when you zoom in, there clearly is nothing there. So I think this is a bit of a, I think the map is lying here, to be honest. This is where you can cross into Darino. Lyubimovka hasn't changed at all. Again, wide open fields, which is a problem for Russia, but we have indications or reports that they are indeed in Lyubimovka and challenging the Ukrainians. That means they are probably traveling well across these fields, but also along this main road. And they're in this part of town and are currently contesting this section here. And here you have waterways, a small canal or ponds or whatever it is, makes it difficult for Russia to cross into Lyubimovka, and you also have so sorry, this goddamn headset. You have these open fields here that makes it difficult to cross. So first you have to get across this creek, this river, and then open fields. So kind of suggests why Russia is struggling pushing into town. And well, I don't think it's confirmed that they are in this region here either. So they may be, I think this is safe to say they are holding on to whatever this is, trying to push into town here. Next step would be trying to cross these open fields and this river Sorka. But it appears as if Russia is struggling with achieving that. They have been trying to push into the forest up here, but it appears as if Ukraine is holding on to sections of it. So you have Russian control of half of the woods and Ukraine on controlling the other half. This is kind of interesting. Korenovo according to Deep State, it is contested with Ukraine pushing in and cutting it off in the north. Syriac Maps has it completely under Russian control, and Andrew Perpetua has it completely under Ukrainian control. A bit unclear what's going on, but I've chosen to list it as Russian because it's contested on the Deep State map, with Deep State indicating that Ukraine is pushing in north from two sides, cutting it off. But if it is contested with Russians in it, I'm guessing they still get some form of reinforcements. Maybe this way, or maybe you have a road here coming down this way. So maybe Russia is in fact in control of this region here, this area, which allows them to bring in reinforcements into town. So I've listed this as blue because that is what Deep State is telling us, but maybe Russia is in control of this part here, and that is how they are able to contest Kremanoye. What else? Oh, this area, as you can see here, I've not really finished the mapping here. But Kamyshovka, it's an area where we have conflicting reports as well. Some mappers claim that Ukraine has pushed in, other mappers that Russia has moved south and gained territory around this town here or village of Kamyshovka and Kamyshevka. So this valley seems to be a hot spot where you have a lot of fighting, confusing reports, conflicting reports, as both sides are pushing back and forth between Kamyshovka and Kamyshevka. And well, here, nothing's really happening here as far as I can tell, and I haven't done any attempts to get the map done as of yet. But when we go down here, this is where Russia made a push out of Borki through these wide open fields. 6. Why is it a 6? I don't know why it's listed as a 6. Anyway, they pushed through these fields here and towards Plekovo, and we've seen the videos of several Russian vehicles getting destroyed crossing these fields here. As you can see, it's just wide open territory. Perfect hunting ground for drones, and for some reason Russia tried to rush across these fields, yeah, well, the end result is what we could expect. Andrew Perpetua and Russian sources claim that Russia maybe made it across, contesting these forests here as well as these valleys and woods. I mean, did they really manage to get across these wide open fields in enough numbers to contest these regions? I'm skeptical. Maybe they grabbed the woods down here. That seems plausible. Russia pushing into the woods here, yes, doable. And it also puts them in a decent spot from these woods and these terrain features, moving into these woods and then attacking Plekovo from the east through cover instead of going across the wide open fields, which is suicide. So you Russian forces over here, maybe, but I doubt it. I think it's more than likely that they're gonna come in this way and push into these woods and attack Plekovo straight from the east through this area here where you have buildings, you have woods, and then you can move from cover to cover and push into town instead of doing a YOLO Leroy Jenkins maneuver through these open fields where drones will just hunt you down and destroy you. So yes, that is my my map, unfinished as it is, on the situation in Kursk at the moment. So Tektino, Veseloe, Lyubimovka, Darino, and Borki Plekovo, and Kamishevka. I believe those are the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 hotspots that, and also this encirclement here of Korenovo. But these 5 hotspots are the ones that are really interesting, together with this potential encirclement here, with Russians trying to hold on to this town of Korenovo. So yeah, that's gonna have to be it. So that's it, my own map. Not a credible source, but based on taken inspiration from 6 to 8 mappers who put down a lot of effort in getting their maps as accurate as possible. Anyway, so I hope you found it interesting. I hope I'll see you in the next one. As always, go på marsch, Ukraine, and give them hell.